Welcome back to Roy's Racing, the channel for mediocre sim racers everywhere. And welcome to episode 9 of our F122 My Team Career Mode. And we're travelling okay. We're in 10th place in the drivers' standings, and the team is in 8th place out of 11 in the constructors' standings. And you can see at the top there, Carlos Sainz is still streeting everybody. But if you haven't seen the last episode, have a look at that one first. So that episode was the Canadian Grand Prix, and what a finish. I have to say, what a finish. I'm not going to give any spoilers. Go and watch it. It was absolutely awesome. That last 5 laps was just brilliant, so exciting. And for the first time, finally in this season, it was a win for Charles Leclerc. Now, the first thing we have to do this episode is actually, because we're halfway through the season, we've got to make sure that we sign up our co-driver again. And it's still Oscar Piastri. We've managed to hang on to him. He hasn't released any tweets or anything saying that he's not going to drive for us. And so we're going into our negotiations now just to see how we go. Hopefully he's going to accept it. And he has. So that's awesome. So yeah, we're hanging on to Oscar Piastri for another 8 races. We didn't go for the high, low risk bid because, quite frankly, he's not performing well enough for us to be paying overs for him. So we're going to jump in and do some activities now. We're going to do some sponsor work. We're going to give our chassis teams some love, and we're also going to do some G-force training for Oscar so that we can get his racecraft and his focus back up, and hopefully he can perform a little bit better for us. Now, jumping into upgrades, we're going to do a durability upgrade for our turbo, and we're going to do a major drag reduction activity in our aerodynamics area. So you can see there that we're still the second worst car on the grid, apparently. But we're, the Alpha Tauris, Aston Martins, and Williams were all sort of roughly the same-ish. The Alpha Tauri is obviously slightly ahead. We're not that far behind the Alpines, and we're starting to fall a bit behind the Haas and the Alfa Romeo. But we're looking to increase that. We've got, these big upgrades are going to take us up to probably about level with the Alpine team. But we're going to let time advance for a little bit because we've got not quite enough research points to do certain things that I want to do. So we're going to make time pass a bit, and that also gives us now the opportunity to do another upgrade maybe in the powertrain, because as you can see now, the previous one we were doing is finished. So we're catching up. Slowly but surely we're catching up to the other cars. And so what we've done is we've gone for another minor engine power one, so a little bit more grunt in the engine. But if you have a look on the chart there, this chart shows things very differently to the other chart. It shows that the Alpine and the Haas are actually, a good chunk ahead of us. But I don't think they're that far ahead. But we're basically, a bit better than the Williams, even though it shows us for some reason on the bottom there. We're a bit better than the Williams, and about much of a muchness with the Alpha Tauris and Aston Martins. But with our engine upgrade that it's not showing on that chart, hopefully we are now going to be, a bit faster than them, and probably, I'm hoping, because of the way that I've got this set up, where, I want to show Ava as being a brilliant driver. And so, I'm hoping that we're going to be somewhere up around the Alpines in actual performance on the track in the game. So going into qualifying now for this first session, and we qualified, we're in 13th, which got us into the next session. Oscar Piastri is 20th, still not performing where I'd like him to be. The Haas has had a bit of a brain explosion there. Kevin Magnussen, he's made it into the next session. But the big news was right up the top there, and we had Lando Norris actually did the fastest time in Q1, which is a bit of a surprise. But jumping into Q2 for our first lap there, and we've qualified in the top 10, and Norris is still ahead of Carlos Sainz. Verstappen's up there, which is where you'd expect him to be. We're in 7th. Magnussen's got himself up into 8th now. And yeah, so Sebastian Vettel in the Aston Martin has managed to get himself up into the top 10 as well. So here we are. We're just finishing our lap here, and you can see this is a second lap in Q2, and we're trying to go, gain so much time that I cut that corner a bit there, and actually caused damage to the floor, which is meaning that we've only stayed in 6th place. We didn't gain any time. We actually ended up slower than our first lap, which was annoying there, and well, we're going to take it. So we're going to move on to Q3. And so this is our lap, end of our lap in Q3, which is a much nicer lap. And you can see that we didn't cut that corner at all there, and we've managed to get ourselves across the line. Now it shows us in P3 there, but not everyone's done their laps yet.
We return once again then to the home of British motorsport and the birthplace of the Formula One World Championship. It's race day here at Silverstone, and it's time for the British Grand Prix. The 3.6 mile long Silverstone circuit is one of the longest of the season, with 18 corners in the current layout. With average lap speeds reaching around 145 miles per hour, it's also one of the quickest tracks of the year. Watch out for cars taking the right-handers of Abbey and Copse flat out. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Hamilton, Ava, George Russell and Bottas, Vettel, Mick Schumacher, Sainz and Pierre Gasly, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Max Verstappen, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Albon, Ricciardo, Oscar Piastri, Kevin Magnussen and Esteban Ocon. Joe, Stroll, they've taken a grid penalty. Latifi and Yuki Tsunoda. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. And I'm joined once again by Anthony Davidson to bring you the lowdown for today's race. Can we begin by having a chat about Charles Leclerc? That was a great win in the last race. Can they keep that momentum going this weekend?
It's always nice to come into a Grand Prix weekend on a high, but your expectations are based much more on your practice and qualifying runs. So it's the momentum from those sessions that they'll be hoping to carry into the race today.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Heading off into the formation lap now, we haven't done anything particularly exciting with our strategy. One thing I should mention though is probably a good reason why we're so far high up on the grid is firstly, so many people had to take engine penalties this time. I think that they probably did their practice and qualifying on worn engines. But the other thing is that we've actually got our tyres set, the tyre pressures set just a little bit higher than would normally be expected for a race. We've basically taken a time trial tyre setup. Now, before the patches came out, that was a great thing to do because the tyre temperature wasn't being properly managed or modelled in the game. That's been fixed a couple of patches ago. So what this means is that we're going to be really, really quick on a one-lap on a one-lap sprint, and we're probably going to be the performance will drop off a lot quicker than the other drivers. I'm still starting on the mediums. We're starting on the mediums and then going on to the hards. I'm hoping that I can make up a couple of places, particularly, because we're right up the front of the grid here, and I'm hoping to get a really good start and maybe jump Hamilton and maybe Russell there. But what we've got is we've got Charles Leclerc is on pole, Sainz, Verstappen and Perez have all taken grid penalties, so they're way down the order. But what we've got is the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc. Then we've got two Brits in Norris and Hamilton, then an Aussie in Ava, and then we've got another Brit in Russell. So the Brits are all up the front of the grid for this one. So this is going to be interesting. They're all on their home Grand Prix, and each one of them would love to win it. Particularly Norris and Russell, given that they have, I don't know whether they've actually won a race yet at all. So we're coming back onto the grid now. This is going to be really, really exciting. It's going to be a great race. It's the festival of speed kind of, it's Silverstone. Who doesn't like racing here? Everything's fast. It's a long track, but it's so fast. Now let's see if we can do a good... Oh, we've actually managed to park really well this time. Oh, we have an achievement that I didn't realise we'd actually unlocked. Cool. That's pretty cool. So, 5 lights, we're ready to go. We're going to start this thing. We're going to show it from the cockpit view. We have an alright start, but then for some reason we just don't have that oomph. We come off the line a bit slow, and both Mercedes have just got ahead of us. So Russell's driven past us from 5th place, so that knocks us down now. But you can see we've got more grip at the moment, but they're still driving side by side. But there's no way for us to get past, because we've got 2 pairs of cars driving side by side. We're kind of stuck behind, and then we still have a power disadvantage against these guys in a straight line, and so they're just starting to drive away in the early parts of that Wellington straight there. But nonetheless, we're in 5th place. We're not far behind. We're having a little bit of a look there to see if we can get past Hamilton, because Russell's managed to get up there. So going back to the start and looking at it from outside now, you can see that McLaren there is Ricciardo trying to make up some room there, because he started way down the grid there, and he's got up alongside Alonso. But everyone, because we've gone to the left, Alonso's able to come jumping straight up there. He's gone alongside Gasly, but in the end he has to slot there into 12th place. So as they settle down there, Leclerc's leading the race from Lando Norris, but as we get towards the end of this first lap, you can see Max Verstappen's now trying to come back through the field. So he's up behind Alonso, and he has managed to get past him, has he? Yeah, he ends up, in the end he manages to get past. And Daniel Ricciardo's also looking there, although Alonso's coming straight back at him. They're still side by side as they're going down what looks like Hangar Straight there, is it? And yeah, so it took a while, but Verstappen did eventually get past. Now what we have is Perez trying to get past Carlos Sainz now to get himself up into 8th place. And again, side by side, we've got 2 cars side by side there. So we had Bottas and Schumacher, and then Perez and Sainz all side by side, but they've managed to get through there. And yeah, so we've got now leading the race, we've got Charles Leclerc, Lando Norris, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton. We're in 5th, Bottas is in 6th, and Schumacher was in 7th. But now we're on lap 3, and we're seeing Max Verstappen's now make his way up behind Sebastian Vettel, and he's going to have a bit, as we go past on the start-finish straight there, it's probably not the best place to... Oh, he's got to go around the outside. No, okay, he changed his mind. He's come around the inside. That's a gutsy move there, and Vettel's decided he wants none of that. He's getting out of this one. So he backs off. But now we're on lap 5, and oh, we've gone really, really wide there at Copse. And as we come up towards Maggots and Beckett's, that's given Bottas the chance to close up on us. I think we might be starting to see our tyres go off. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've made a complete meal of that. Bottas is going to come right up beside it. You can see him in the mirrors. He's just screaming up. He's got DRS, and yeah, he's just driving straight past us. There's not much we can do about that. We have a bit of a look as we come into that corner there, but in the end, we have to back out of it and go wide again. And so we're just going to have to slot in. Now we're going to hope that we can use the DRS and stay close behind Bottas, right? So, you know, we can have another go at him later. But now we've got Perez having a look up the inside of Schumacher, just as we did that thing before. And you can see as we went into that chicane, we actually had a bit of a lock-up there while Perez was passing Schumacher behind us. So now we're going back down the Hangar Straight now, and you can see with the DRS, we're gaining on Bottas, and we're right up, sort of getting close to him now. We're not really right up his backside, but we've come in from a long, long way back, and we've managed to slot it in there. He's left the door open. I don't think he expected us to try that one, and we've managed to take that position back, so we're back up to 5th place. But yeah, that's given Bottas, that's actually let Perez come up behind Bottas there, and he ends up driving past him down the Hangar Straight on lap 5. So we're on lap 6 now, and we're coming on to the Wellington Straight there. And you can see in the mirrors there, that's Perez coming up just at a rate of knots on our left there. He's got DRS, ERS, and he's driven past us. We just don't have that power in a straight line yet. We're still working on that to get the aerodynamics and that engine power so that we can keep up with these big guys. Our tyres are starting to go off, and in the end, Perez has driven away from us. But now we've got Bottas having another look because we've gone wide again, but he doesn't make it stick. But now Carlos Sainz decides he's going to go up alongside Bottas. So they're side by side now as they're coming through there. That's I think we're coming onto the main pit straight here up towards Abbey. And they're still side by side, but that's Bottas is holding that position. He's making that Alfa Romeo work. But you can see behind them, Verstappen's watching. He's looking to pounce. But with those two side by side, he's very wisely showing some patience and staying out of it just to see how that one resolves itself. But as they come on to the Wellington Straight now, Sainz has managed to get past Bottas, but so we're on lap 7, but Verstappen's now going to take his chance and sort of outbrake him coming up the inside. I think Bottas is still alongside him. He is. So they're still side by side as they come out of this area here. And so they're coming up towards Copse now. And Hamilton, I think he's still got Bottas side by side. And so are they going to go side by side through Copse? I mean, shades of 2021 with Hamilton there. But in the end, he's managed to make it stick on the run up to Maggots and Beckett's. That was scary. I was thinking, okay, you know, Verstappen, is he gonna disappear off to the side there again? And so we're on lap 7 now, and George Russell's decided he wants second place in this race, so he's coming up alongside Lando Norris. But Lando's saying, no, you're not coming past just yet. So as they go through that chicane and they're coming round through Club now and onto the main straight, and they're still side by side, and now Lewis Hamilton's decided he wants to have a go. Is he going to have a look up the inside through Abbey? That's not the place to be trying that stunt. 3 wide through there. He very wisely backs out of that one because there was nowhere to go there. But they're still side by side. About half a lap these two have been driving side by side. And as they're coming through, I think, Village there, and we're coming up onto the Wellington Straight, and still George Russell and Lando Norris are side by side. But now Hamilton's beside them. He's actually going to have a go up the inside here as they come towards the end, and he's pulled off the double overtake on the both of them, and eventually Norris gets put back into 4th place by Russell. So he's gone back 2 places through that whole altercation there. Now, we're on lap 8 now, and we've got Carlos Sainz coming alongside us here, looking to have a pass as we go along the Hangar Straight, and we're staying side by side. We're not going to give it away, and in the end we've managed to hang on to it. But as we come up towards the chicane now and then into Club, we've gone wide, so our tyres really are starting to you know, the tyre pressures are starting to cause us some difficulties. But we've hung on to that position. But fighting with us has made Sainz fall back into the clutches of Max Verstappen, who's decided that he's going to have a look up alongside him here as we go through, I think that's Village. And then we're going on to the Wellington Straight, and Verstappen has pulled that one off, but now he's coming up alongside us on lap 10 as we go along the pit straight. As we go into Abbey, we hold our position. We give him some racing room, but in the end he decides to back out of it. I think he thinks he's got the car pace and there was no need to pull anything too drastic in order to get past us there. But he has fallen back a little bit as we go back onto the Wellington Straight. And, we've gone wide now as we've come towards the chicane past the pits. We've had a big sort of, well, not a tank slapper, but we've gone really, really wide, and that's let Verstappen come up alongside us. But because he's had to back off so that he didn't actually hit us, that's given Sainz the chance through Maggots and Beckett's to just rip past him. He's just driven straight round the outside of him, but then we've decided, no, that's enough, it's time to go into the pits. Oh, another big lock-up as we hit the line there, but I don't think we copped a penalty. So we've come into the pits, and behind us there, we've got Max Verstappen's decided to come into the pits, and I think that's Bottas coming in behind us as well. And Lewis Hamilton's come in now, and he had to actually wait a little bit as we went past. So that's probably going to cost him as he comes back out onto the track. He's probably going to find himself back out of 2nd place and back down. Great pit stop from the team there. Thanks, guys. That was a great pit stop for us there. And we're still ahead of Verstappen and Bottas, and we've actually gained a little bit on Hamilton there. So it looks like we're going to come out in about 15th place. No, we're not really fighting with anybody here. We're just sort of back onto the track. But this is where, well, I think, we're riding with Mick Schumacher here, and has he got a problem? I think there's something going wrong with his car there. Yeah, there's the flashing lights. That engine has failed. It's a shame. tragedy for Mick Schumacher, because he was really doing well. He was up in the top 10. But yeah, those flag marshals are looking the wrong way. That's not the way flag marshals are supposed to stand. So we're on lap 14 now, and Carlos Sainz has come into the pits. So Hamilton and Perez have managed to stay ahead of him, but he's actually jumped us, because you've got to remember he was behind us as we came into the pits. So the overcuts worked for him, but we've got warmer tyres, and these hard tyres are really hard to get heat into, which is one of the reasons I cranked up those tyre pressures, because I'm hoping that when we get onto the hard tyres, we'll actually have grip early. We might lose a bit of grip later in their life, but on these hard tyres, I'm hoping that they'll work better. And you can see there that it was working for us. We've gained right up on behind Carlos Sainz there, and so we're coming up towards the chicane now, and we come from a long way back. I don't think he saw us coming. We've had contact there. I feel so bad. It was getting the elbows out, but we were coming through, and he just turned in anyway. And we made these tyres really work, because that's actually given us. We've gone past Perez as well, so we've driven past him. Now we've got Esteban Ocon having a challenge on Pierre Gasly on lap 18, and he's, they're fighting for no points at the moment, but Gasly, it doesn't mean that they're still fighting for pride, and Gasly's not just going to let this go. And so we've got great view from a camera right on the nose there. You can see Gasly's right alongside, and I think Ocon's made this, he's gone right up to the apex there, so Gasly's wisely backed out of it. So now we're on lap 19, and Verstappen's caught Perez, so maybe Perez has a problem with his floor or something that he can't fix by going into the pits, because he's falling back. And Verstappen's now just driven past him. I think Perez might actually have a problem. So on lap 23, I'm going to let you just listen. So we're going to do a lap of this track just inside the cockpit of the Aurora Australis car, and I'll let you listen to it. So that was really cool. I hope you enjoyed doing a lap with us there without my voice clouding up the sound. So we're watching Daniel Ricciardo have a go trying to get past Fernando Alonso here down the hangar straight. And they're coming up towards this chicane there. Still side by side. He's not giving this one away. Alonso's saying, no, I want this point. I want this extra point for ninth. Oh, he's just turned into him. I think Alonso's only got himself to blame there. He decided he was going to turn into that corner regardless. Oh, in the end, Charles Leclerc has won 2 in a row now, so he's finally starting to put it together. And then we've got George Russell coming in 2nd place, and Lando Norris in 3rd, and Lewis Hamilton has to settle for 4th place. So we've got a Monegasque and then 3 Brits. So none of the Brits managed to actually win the British Grand Prix, which is a bit of a shame for the crowd, I think. But we've managed to come in 5th place, so this is our highest finish in any race that we've done.
Ferrari have really pulled it out of the bag today. It's a great win. So, Anthony, what made the difference out there today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a drive with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again. So let's see how the drivers' standings have changed. Not the result our points leader wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. Some amazing talent out there on track today, but Anthony, who would you pick as your driver of the day?
Difficult call, but I'd like to say Esteban Ocon. He's just so gifted at getting the most out of his tyres, and he showed that today.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. Ferrari continued to extend the gap at the top of the table. There was also a strong showing from the McLaren team today as they make their way up the standings. Been an absolutely wild weekend of Formula One action. I can't wait to see what's next.
So that's the Silverstone British Grand Prix all done. We finished in 5th place, I think, which is, as I said before, our highest ever finish in F1 22. To be really honest, I think with all the patches and everything that's gone on, I need to reset the difficulty of this game because I don't think we should be finishing in the top 10 quite so easily every race. So I'm going to crank it up just a little bit now that the patches have kind of all happened. But nonetheless, I'm happy with where the season's going. We're having a ball doing this. And, I'm really glad that you've watched all the way to here. So, please hit that subscribe button. Share this with your friends. Let everybody know. And we'll catch you in the next episode. Catch you later.